think most men struggle with this from day one when they meet a woman, understanding their own value and that they should put themselves first. And that's actually what women want, because they're attracted to that.
Lead.
They want a leader,
exactly.
right? So if you're going to be the leader, but then you're going to break your boundaries, be like, oh, no, I want to be there for you, and you're not going to focus on yourself, slowly that erodes your relationship. We've spoken about that quite a few times on here. Yeah. But yeah, so we used the phrase last week on the podcast, hierarchy, like a hierarchy, or like organization, but a hierarchy, a family hierarchy, and an understanding of like, okay, I'm the leader. That means I have to provide X, Y, and Z. So the boundaries are this, and this. And it's difficult, I think. What we were talking about was having kids, because once you have kids, the whole dynamic shifts within your relationship, and you have to like kind of balance it back out. But then if you're confident enough as a man and you're used to setting these boundaries, if you're a weak man to start with and you're kind of struggling, and then your wife has a baby and you're in that position of weakness,
amplify your problems.
You can't say, no, I've got to go to the gym, because if I go to the gym, I'm a better father, a better husband, or whatever it is. You struggle to say that because you're from a position of weakness. So I think that is easy if you have it set up from the beginning. But I imagine some of you're talking about your clients, they're going to, how do they get over that? Like if they're in a position of weakness where they haven't been setting boundaries and they haven't been saying, this is X, Y, and Z, I have to do this because this is the result, and they've been fooled with their wives or girlfriends.
Because it comes back to a confidence issue as well. So like when you think of confidence, and this is a Hormozy stain, it's about having an undeniable stack of evidence that you are who you say you are, right? Small micro wins accumulate, you become more confident. And it's like, guys will come to me, and I always say this to guys who are wanting to get in shape. They're like, oh, Andy, I want a six pack. I've never had one. I'm like, cool. But why do you really want a six pack? Like, they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, why the fuck do you want a six pack? Because you'll get there and then realize that's not what it is. And they're like, oh, yeah, I want to meet a bird. And I'm like, okay, why are you struggling to meet a bird? Because you don't put your needs first. You don't step up. You're not emulating confidence. It's all these things. And going back to like the getting in shape question, I think it comes down to guys being able to have almost like that longer term vision of where they're wanting to be at in the relationship as well. So going back to what you said about like the family thing, it's not, being a leader isn't about being a dictator, but it's about having the confidence to communicate and saying, look, this is what needs to happen, and having a shared vision. And a lot of the guys, when, going back to the communication thing, it's like they just don't know how to articulate what they actually want. And that becomes a huge problem.
Yeah, I think they don't even know how to articulate what they want. They don't even know what they want, right? Yeah. They've never even thought about it. You said long-term vision. And this is something I deal with every day. And it's like, if you don't know, I always just say, if you don't know where you're going, how the hell are you going to get there? Simple phrase, but if you don't know where you're going, how the hell are you going to get there? If you get on a train and you don't know what stop you're getting off at, you're not going to get off at the right stop. So the first thing you have to understand is, where am I going? And who do I want to become? Or what's the sort of man that I want to be? This is a lot of things that I talk about, like having purpose in your life and the rest of it. But you mentioned something really interesting about the men nowadays not having confidence. And something that I find insane is men, I want to get a six pack because I want to get a bird. Cool. Fair enough. If that's the reason, whatever. But most guys, or most, I say losers because I like to be, a bit annoying. Most losers will live their life where they don't know about brokies. That's not my vernacular. But most losers will go through their entire life settling with a 3 because they're not willing to talk to a 10. Right. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're not even willing to make the leap, to have the conversation, to approach the girl, they're not even confident enough to do that. They will settle for a 3 and live their life unhappy and miserable.
Comfort zones, isn't it?
Because they're in their comfort zone and they don't even want to step outside it. So the people that don't want to step outside the comfort zone, they are, rather than the fear of stepping outside the comfort zone and dealing with an uncomfortable situation, they'll be in a shitty, comfortable situation, and they'll do that for the rest of their life. 2 types of discomfort. One's going to get you a result. You're going to be in discomfort anyway. You might as well get a result out of it. You said, what did you say? You're either running away from...
Either running away from pain or you're moving towards pleasure. So then there's a huge difference. It's like, say you're a fat kid, right? And that's really kind of brash saying it like that, but you're a fat kid, you're bullied all your life, and you've very much attached your identity to being that person because you've been told that you are that person all your life, right? And you live in that every day. And then you've got someone who's actually driven by positive motivation, which is pleasure. I want to move towards building a business or building a really successful family or whatever it is. It's like the guys that are in a lot of pain, that I often find the ones who are in more pain usually get a better result when they're given the structure and the tools and the roadmap to do it, because it's more uncomfortable than not achieving something that's just a bit of pleasure. And I think a lot of guys, that's why I ask them a bit on a scratch beneath the surface when they're like, I want to get abs. I'm like, okay, but is there any pain here we can use? Because it's like, I feel like it's more fuel to the fire than just being like, I want a nice car because it's going to be cool. Do you know what I mean?
I think moving towards pleasure is actually probably the worst thing you can do with your life, because it's
hollow.
It's hollow, unfulfilling, and it doesn't help you in any way. So anyone who's motivated by pleasure, they use the word pleasure, I think they are kind of like, you know better than me, they're probably the guys that go through cycles, right? That maybe they get in shape, but then they're out of shape, then they get in shape, then they're out of shape, because they're pursuing the pleasure, and they get the pleasure, and they're like, I want some more. I need some more. I need some more. I need some more. And it's like an endless pit of despair, because pleasure doesn't fulfill your life or make you feel any better, right? So I find that if you're moving away from pain, I think pleasure and pain are both motivators, but I think if you're looking for fulfillment, what's the word that I'm looking for? Purpose. Yeah. If you're looking for purpose in your life, once you find purpose, then it's easy to make all these changes, right? It's easy to do. You don't need pleasure, you don't need pain, you just need purpose. Once you have purpose, you are willing to pay the price or the sacrifice for all of these things to get to where you want to be. But again, it's about knowing where you want to go, right?
Yeah, I use my own discomfort and pains, like as a teenager in my early 20s with my clients all the time, like fully transparent about it, taking drugs, going out, alcohol, not being happy because I lacked purpose. And I think I said this to you before a while back, around guys engage in self-destructive habits for one of two reasons. It's either exploration or escapism. And like, there's a huge difference again. It's like the pain versus pleasure. Usually guys that are struggling to get in shape, they're like escaping their reality because it's not fulfilling. They've not got that purpose. And it's like, yeah, I'm not knocking guys who go out and have a drink, because I've been there and done it. I went out on Sunday, to play a padre, had a great time, got a bit messy, whatever. But it's like the position that I was doing that for was with my friend's birthday, spending quality time with my friends, like going having a laugh, versus being, I'm stressed out of my mind because of my business Monday to Friday, and I'm just trying to escape the reality of the weekend. And I think even bringing that to a lot of guys' attention, especially at like 35, when they're in the position of whether they're trying to get in shape again, if they're trying to build an online business, there's that subconscious unspoken pressure that they should have all their shit together. It's like, okay, well, let's just break it down into where you're actually at. Again, personally, physically, professionally, like, what's the real bottleneck here for you? Because getting abs is a really simple process. Eating calorie deficit, moving more, controlling your nutrition, recover, whatever. If you're constantly using, I talk again in my program about 4 self-destructive habits, it's like the ones I see, it's people pleasing, overworking, comfort eating, alcohol and drugs, right? On a personal level, what self-destructive habits are holding you back? Why can't you seem to maintain a deficit to lose weight and get abs? Because I have a 12-hour day working, I end up pulling in the drive-through, getting a family bargain bucket, KFC, smashing the whole thing.
Awesome.
Repeat the cycle, right? And so when you get down to it, it's like, it's not always a surface level thing. It's like, okay, well, let's tackle the big rocks in your life that are holding you back. It might be on a personal level. It might be a professional level where you're not setting a boundary with your boss and you're just taking on way more work than you should be because you're a cog in a wheel and you don't see any way out. It could be all these different things. So it's like, some coaches will look at the content I put out there and be like, it's a bit woo-woo, but really it's just actually helping men take control of their lives, becoming independent, becoming a leader, and actually taking responsibility of those 3 areas. Because when you actually start doing that, going back to what you said, purpose, having the vision, you see what you're working towards, whether that means you're going to be escaping pain and working towards pleasure. Suddenly you've got that purpose, you've got that vision, you've got that clarity, and your life becomes exciting again, and you don't feel the need to engage in all that bullshit.